So I want to give you a little bit of a preface here this morning and just start by saying that strategic planning is a fairly complicated process, as many of you know. And what my goal here today is just to give you an overview and some takeaways of some things that you can do, you can go home and do immediately to get started in this process, to really understand how to define your vision, define where you want your firm to go, and some of the things that you can do and put in place to help you actually implement that, because let's face it, it's all about implementation. Let me ask you a question. How many of you here have gotten some really great ideas this conference that you want to take home and implement? Okay, everybody, right? How many of you think there's less than a 50-50 shot that they'll actually get implemented? Be honest. Okay. You're not alone. That's the norm. Unfortunately, that's what happens. I go to conferences, and I get really excited, and I see all these things that I want to do, and then reality hits, right? You go back to the office, you've got a bunch of calls waiting for you, you've got staff that are waiting to get with you and get with you on issues, you've got financial plans that you need to do. You know how it goes, right? That's just what happens. What I want to help you understand today is that strategic planning is not a once-a-year thing. It's a new way of thinking for you in your firm. It's something that you need to think about on a daily basis. It's not a standalone thing that happens once a year. You, as the owners of your firm, have a responsibility to be strategic on a daily, weekly, monthly basis if you really want to grow your firm to where you want it. And Ryan Moeller did a great presentation yesterday from TD Ameritrade, and he talked about all the things that you need to do to grow your firm, your ideal firm, grow your business. I want to add one more to that. How many of you got into your business because you were looking for a quality of life that you didn't have in your other business, in it working for someone else? Okay, well, I did. I got into my own business like you because I wanted a quality of life. I wanted to be able to travel with my husband and spend time with my stepchildren. And unfortunately, when we run our own businesses sometimes, we end up working more than we did before. So I want to talk today about some things that you can do to help you actually live that ideal quality of life as well as grow your business. So strategic planning really breaks down to these things: preparation, strategy, and implementation. The preparation, I'm going to talk about some homework that I want you guys to do, and I want you to focus on the concepts that I'm talking about today. Don't focus on the templates. Any templates that you see that I use today, if you'll send me an email, I will fire them out to you free of charge. So don't worry about any of the templates. I'll get you anything that you want to help you do this process, okay? Just focus on the concepts. This took me 6 years to figure out. Sometimes I'm a little slow. Financial planning and strategic planning are very similar. Can anybody see that? Can anybody think that through and see that? What do you do for your clients? You sit down with them. You ask them questions. You figure out where they want the money to go, to grow, to do, right? It's exactly the same thing with strategic planning. You're going to ask yourself some questions. You're going to figure out what you want your firm to look like, and you're going to figure out the quality of life that you want your firm to provide for you. Again, sometimes I'm a little slow. The light bulb finally did go off. There we go. So let's talk about some warning signs that you need a strategic plan. If you can answer yes to any of these questions, you need a strategic plan. You're asked where your business will be in 1 year and you have absolutely no idea. You can say, I hope this is where it is. Notice how I didn't say you hope where your business will be. You have some idea where your business will be, where you want your business to go, but you have no idea how you're going to get there. You have a hard time explaining what you do. And let me preface this by saying, answering, I'm a financial advisor or I'm an investment manager is not a legitimate response. That's like saying I sell used cars. And I was a financial advisor, and I'm not knocking on your profession. I have my own financial advisor. It's just not interesting enough to have people ask you additional questions about what you do. So I would ask you to really, Abby Salome did a fantastic presentation yesterday on establishing your mission statement, your vision statement, and your value proposition. I have some templates for that as well. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Please, please get your mission statement, your vision statement, and your value proposition in place if you don't have one. Everything on your to-do list is a priority. You get up in the morning, I look at Redtail, I use Redtail, and it's just full of things to do because you don't have a plan where you know exactly what strategic things you need to do. in addition to the things you need to do for your clients. People don't refer you because they're not exactly sure what you do. If you don't know what you do, they don't know what you do. You ask your staff what success looks like, and they stare at you like the deer in the headlights. They don't have a clue. They don't say things like millions of happy clients who happily pay our fees, or great technology that streamlines our systems. They don't know what success looks like because it hasn't been defined. This is the worst one right here. and a lot of people are guilty of this, I think. You complain when customers call, not to them, obviously, but you think in your mind, and I'm not going to ask for a poll on this because I know nobody will admit it, but you think in your mind, wow, this call from this customer is just really interrupting all these other things I need to do. That's the biggest warning sign that you need a strategic plan. I apologize for the formatting, folks. I had to swap out computers early this morning. So the first step is to really, how many of you have staff? Okay, and the rest of you are solo practitioners. So this process works for both people, those of you that have staff and those that are solo practitioners. The solo practitioners, I'll talk to you guys a little bit later if you'd like me to about how to do it more on your own. If you have staff, the first thing you want to do is get your staff engaged in this process. This process will not be successful if your staff is not engaged, if they don't understand why you're doing this, how they benefit. They're just going to not, they're not going to want to implement the things that you're giving them because they don't understand. So don't go into a room by yourself and construct this plan and then come out and say, here's the things I need you to do. They're not going to be invested in it because they don't understand why it's happening. So make sure you explain to your staff why we're doing this process, that this is going to benefit everybody. We're doing this because we want to grow the firm. We want to have more streamlined processes. We want to have better technology, and we need your input. So if you have staff, this is a very collaborative process. So what does a timeline for this look like? So I usually plan with my clients in the fall of every year. So in the fourth quarter of the year, we start on these processes. So my clients will start having brainstorming sessions. If you're a sole practitioner, I would encourage you to carve out time on your calendar to really think about where your firm is and where you want it to go and make it a priority. Don't let anything trump it because it is the most important thing that you're going to do all year long. So begin brainstorming, capturing ideas and priorities. How many of you have conducted a client survey? Okay. How many of you it's been more than 2 years? Okay. You really should conduct a client survey every 2 years. I am constantly amazed when I work with advisors and I ask them, well, what is it your clients really value? What services do your clients value? And they say, well, I don't know. Well, maybe they like this quarterly reporting. Maybe they don't. Ask them. Ask them. Don't guess. Ask them what they value and what they don't value. And then you'll have a clear map of what you need to institute for your firm. And you should really be doing it. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a survey?
I'm going to show you who to use. Ask them what they really do value. And then again, if you don't have your mission and your vision statements in place, excuse me, it's a little dry. If you don't have your mission and your vision statements in place, you need to start working on those. And again, Abby offered some fantastic templates. I also have some templates that will give you some questions to ask yourself so you're not staring at a blank piece of paper. So again, you're collecting, you're brainstorming with your staff, or you're brainstorming with your staff, or you're brainstorming with your spouse, or you're brainstorming to get these ideas. And at this point in time, folks, all ideas are on the table. I would encourage you to think about your ideas with no exceptions to money, time, no constraints whatsoever at this point in time. We're just, all the spaghetti's going up on the wall. And then in a little bit, we're going to start to pull down the things that make sense for the next 12 to 18 months. But we're going to capture every single idea. And I'm going to show you some questions that I want you to ask yourself and give your staff to ask to really stimulate those ideas of what are going to be the priorities for the next 12 to 18 months. I like to use mind mapping. Do you guys use mind mapping? Okay. Yeah, I love mind mapping. And I love MindJet because it has that brainstorming module where you can just throw ideas up on the screen and you don't have to group them together. That's the way I think. As y'all can tell, I'm a pretty scattered thinker probably. Pardon? I use MindJet.
Is that a
It's both. It's a SaaS and you can load it on your PC. You can either use it on the cloud or you can load it on your PC. It's called mindjet.com, and then their software is called Mind Manager. And I've looked at some others, and I like this one the best because I haven't found any others with the brainstorming module, which is the way I really like to work. But I don't care if you put Post-it notes on the wall. I don't care if you put it on a whiteboard or a flip chart, but start gathering those ideas as you think about them. Things that you want to do within your firm that are going to either improve your service, improve your quality of life, streamline your technology. At this point in time, as the ideas come to you, you just need to capture them. I call this my big idea file. This is who I would recommend you use for a survey. Are you all familiar with Julie Littlechild at Advisor Impact? Okay, she does a fantastic job. She has a module just for advisors. The TD Ameritrade, I believe, has a discount with her. I don't think Charles Schwab does anymore. They used to, but you can certainly ask your Schwab rep if you're with them. I would ask my broker-dealer or my custodian first if they have a deal with Julie. She will help you set up the survey. Their people will work with you to ask the right questions. They will provide you with a fantastic amount of data on your clients. Not only are they happy, what are they happy with, what are they not happy with, what do they value, but when was the last time they had their wills checked? She's going to offer a tremendous amount of data that is just invaluable to know about your clients. And it's coming from a third party, and they can do it anonymously. So, yes, sir? Julie Littlechild. Her company is called Advisor Impact. And her Advisor Impact, and this product is called the Client Audit. Any other questions at this point? Am I going too fast? I talk like you Midwesterners, I think, a little bit. So, okay. Okay, good. Thank you. That'd be great. So now we're 2 months out, and what I want you to start doing at this point is I've got some homework for you guys I'm going to show you. I want you to continue to work on your mission and your vision statement, and I've got some staff homework, and then we're going to SMART goals. Who knows about SMART goals versus regular old goal? Okay, good. So, question for you as the owner. Why did I start my business? It's so easy for us to forget on a day-to-day basis why we got into business, because we just get so caught up in what's going on. So really think about that, and that really goes to your quality of life that you're trying to build. What business am I really in, and why does my business exist? Those two questions kind of go hand in hand. What is it I really offer? What is my unique ability? And where are we now? Where do we want to go? And how will we get there? That's strategic planning in 3 sentences. And I'm going to show you how to get there, how to figure out how to get there. And then I have some questions I want you to give your staff. And when I work with my clients and they give these to their staff, we get the most phenomenal answers to these questions that the owners would never have thought of in a million years. So again, please make this a collaborative process if you have staff, because they have a completely different vision, a completely different perception of your business than you do. So don't overlook that. What do we do best? What don't we do well? What do we do differently from our competitors? And why are our customers our customers? Yes, sir. Great question. There's 2 ways I would suggest you do it. If you already have a pretty open culture where people feel empowered to speak their minds, I think it's perfectly fine to just give them to it in this format. And then, yeah, I'm going to tell you when to collect them back, and you're going to process it all. If you think that there is some hesitation where people may not speak their minds, you can go out to, is everybody familiar with SurveyMonkey? Okay, SurveyMonkey, you can do it month to month. You don't have to sign a contract. Go out there, put these questions on SurveyMonkey, send them the link, and they can answer you anonymously. Okay, so you're still getting the feedback, but they feel more empowered because it's somewhat anonymous. I don't know if you know you can trace the IP addresses, but anyway, they will feel like it's anonymous. And you can tell them, look, I'm not going to trace the IP addresses. Because you really do, you want to know what they see from their position. Okay, SMART goals. So anybody can set a goal, right? So I'd really like to lose 20 pounds in the next year, right? But just saying that, unfortunately, isn't going to make it happen, right? I'm going to have to call Weight Watchers or somebody like that, right? So SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And again, I have a template I can send you. It's on the next page where you can give this to people. You can turn it into a form on PDF. You can do whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can put this into your daily work so that they don't have to handwrite it out. But it makes you ask some questions about your goals. So make it specific. So saying, I want to hire in 2013 is not a specific goal. Who do you want to hire? Do you want to hire a junior planner? Do you want to hire a chief administrative officer? Do you want to outsource something? It has to be specific. Can it be measured? Is it achievable? Is it relevant to where we are right now and where we want to go? And can it be time-bound? Can it have a deadline on it so it can be tracked and someone can be held accountable for it? Again, don't worry about these templates. I'll fire them out to anybody who sends me an email. So now we're 1 month out, and we want to start refining the priorities. So you as the owner now have the responsibility to take all of those great things that went into the big idea file and start figuring out which ones are going to be achievable in the next 12 to 18 months. I know a lot of people, when you talk about strategic planning, you know, they say, oh, you need to have a 5-year vision and a 10-year vision. I don't agree with that. I think if you're IBM or GE, that's great, and you should do that. I think that strategic planning for our industry is simply looking at what do I want to accomplish in the next 12 to 18 months, where do I want my firm to be, capturing all of those ideas, retaining them. So even if they're not implemented in the next 12 to 18 months, you're not losing anything. They're still there. You can still revisit them. And you're going to revisit your plan frequently. This is your new paradigm shift. It's not a once-a-year thing. You're going to revisit this plan frequently. So you're going to start refining the priorities. You're going to assure your staff, look, you know what, that was a great idea. It's just not something we're going to be able to do at this point in time. But we've got all these ideas. We're going to be revisiting them. Everybody's going to finish their SMART goals. Everybody's going to finish their homework, and you're going to develop an agenda for the day or 2 days, however long you think it's going to take. Don't try to rush through the agenda and get everything done. If you think it's going to take 2 days, then it's going to take 2 days. So the agenda, what I put up here was just something really general. If I were working with you, or when I work with my clients, let's say underneath marketing, there might be 4 or 5 things because we've already done that discovery. So as you're doing the discovery process, let's say one of the things that you want to incorporate is social media for the next 12 to 18 months. Then on the agenda under marketing, you're going to make sure you have social media under there because that's something that you want to collaborate on with your staff, or you want to think about with yourself and make sure you get an action plan for it. So everything that goes on this agenda is going to have an action plan for it after the meeting. Does anybody have any questions about that? Does that make sense? Okay. So now it's the day of the meeting. Those people always look so happy, don't they? So the meeting atmosphere. So I cannot reiterate this strongly enough, and most of you are going to groan when I say this. Go off-site. Do not stay in your office. It's too easy to be distracted. It's too easy to make excuses, to interrupt the process. This is the single most important thing you will do for your business and yourself all year long. Please make it a priority. Go off-site. You can go to a Hampton Inn. They have rooms very inexpensive, that are very inexpensive. No cell phones. No cell phones during the meeting. Turn them off. You can't be distracted. Now, there's really nothing that cannot wait for 2 or 3 hours. You're going to schedule breaks, and you're going to check your emails and your voicemails. And every time I say that, and then somebody says, well, I have a child who's in the hospital. Okay, there are exceptions, people. Use some common sense. But in the grand scheme of things, there's really nothing that's not so important that it can't wait 2 or 3 hours. Use your out of office. Use your email out of office. Let people know what you're doing. My clients will actually, and my advisor does this. Jenny, hey, our offices are going to be closed for the next 2 days because as a firm, we're doing strategic planning so we can improve our services to you, the client. Let people know that you're doing that. Everybody has an equal voice. If you have a staff, it's very collaborative again. Stay on the agenda. Discuss each topic thoroughly. Again, don't try to race through the agenda to the end. Make sure you fleshed everything out. And then somebody needs to take notes and distribute them. If it's just two people, sometimes I will have them just use like a voice recorder. And then you can have, you can go on Odesk or Guru.com and pay somebody to transcribe them and send them back to you. So anyway, but make sure that somebody's taking good notes. Okay, so the action plan. This is the most important part, and this is where most people fall down. They have all these great discussions. They come out of the planning session. Everybody's so pumped up. They're just going to get all these things done. But they don't have an action plan for how they're going to get done. So I put a simple action plan up here, a sample one. So let's say you did decide you were going to have a new hire. You're going to hire that CFP, okay? So what are the things that you're going to do? You're going to write the job description. Of course, you all know not to hire without writing a job description, right? We got to know what this person's going to do. You're going to run the ad. Where are you going to run it? For how long? You're going to review the resumes. You're going to interview some candidates by phone. You're going to schedule face-to-face meetings with qualified candidates. You're going to run tests, assessments, background checks, offer letter, position statement, and finally a training schedule. This is what an action plan would look like for just that one item. Okay? This is a product that I use with my clients. I cannot recommend this highly enough. It will be free for you for one project. It's called teamworkpm.net. It's a project management software. And let me tell you why I don't advise that you put your initiatives in your CRM. And trust me, I get the whole CRM is the hub. I use Redtail. Yeah, I get it. So I'm not telling you not to use your CRM. I'm telling you that I think your strategic planning initiatives need to live someplace else. The general initiatives need to live someplace other than your CRM. So that when you're having your weekly or your bi-weekly meetings, where you're going through with your staff and you're talking about what's been accomplished and what hasn't been accomplished, it's right here. And I have no interest, financial or otherwise, in any of these. I went looking for something for me to use with my clients. I did a lot of homework, a lot of research, and my clients and I, we love this, okay? I actually have clients who use this with their clients because it's online, it's collaborative, but let your initiatives live someplace other than your CRM. Your action steps, if we back up here, those go into your CRM when they've been assigned to someone, okay? So let's say you assign your admin the job of, scheduling the face-to-face meetings. That's a task that's going to go in his or her CRM. But let your plan live in its own home. It's important enough that it should. I've set up a dummy here. If any of y'all want to get in and play around with it, I mean, you can download it and play with it. But if any of y'all want to get in and play around with it, just send me an email and I'll let you in. Okay? So what are the ways, some of the ways that you can ruin your planning meeting? You can refuse to use an outside facilitator. Now, I'm going to hedge that. If you have a strong admin in your office or a strong planner, somebody who has the skills to run the meeting that people respect, then I don't think you need an outside facilitator. You as the owner should not be the person who facilitates the meeting because you sign the paychecks. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. You can ruin it by neglecting to do the homework we've talked about. You can ruin it by trying to race through the agenda. You can ruin it by not taking time to explain the process. That really should be number one. You have to explain the process to your firm and why you're doing it. Because let's face it, employees really don't like a whole lot of change, do they, when it comes to, it kind of gets their radar going, right? This is a good thing, and you need to explain to them why it's a win-win for everybody. Don't assume everybody thinks like you. Don't ignore any elephants in the room. What do I mean by that? So I have a group that I work with up in Long Island. And the owner of the firm, he's a great guy, but he's the worst follow-through in the entire firm. Okay, so we'll go through the strategic plan, and we're assigning tasks, and he'll say, well, I'll do that. And we'll say, no, you won't. You won't do it. Don't take any tasks. You're not going to do them. That's an elephant in the room, okay? Somebody needs to be able to say, look, we love you. You have a wonderful skill set, but you're not going to follow up on this. So somebody else take it. So be realistic. And don't overlook life after the meeting, okay? I want you, now that you have your plan in place and you've put your initiatives up on Teamwork and it's living in its own home and you've outlined action steps for all of your initiatives, you're going to meet bi-weekly to talk about nothing but your strategic plan. That's it. You can do it after your staff meeting. You can do it if you have a separate marketing meeting. You can do it after your marketing meeting. But I want you to spend 30 minutes every 2 weeks with your staff talking about what's been accomplished, what hasn't been accomplished, why hasn't it been accomplished, what are the challenges, what are the hurdles. That's how you get your plan implemented. You have to be your own strategy manager. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? It's simple, but it's the key. Pitfalls, lack of ownership and communication. We all get too mired down in the day-to-day. If you don't make this a priority, I can promise you right now it's not going to get done. Treating the plan as something separate. Don't take on too many initiatives. Don't hold just one meeting a year. Make sure you have action plans for every initiative you want to put in place. And make sure your employees are empowered to do the work that they need to do. Get everyone involved from the start. Appoint a strategy manager. Hook achievement into incentives. A lot of times I work with my clients and to put incentive compensation plans in, to tie them in, to tie their compensation into getting these incentives accomplished. So there's a lot of ways you can do this. Use the KISS principle, lead by example, and celebrate your successes. That's really important. If you get one of your initiatives achieved, make sure you guys celebrate it. This is, to Mark Tiberghien, everybody knows Mark Tiberghien, right? Everybody's familiar with Mark. Okay, so I am a big disciple of Mark Tiberghien's. He's really one of the reasons I got into this business. Has anybody ever seen these from Mark? Okay, Mark has done a lot of studies, and this is what he found out differentiates elite firms, elite advisor firms from all the other firms. They figure out what their clients want and they deliver it to them. Client survey, right? They survey their clients, they find out what they value, and they give it to them. They have strong strategic alliances, not so much for referrals, but for the clients to use. It took us, in the firm that I was building with my partner, unfortunately it took us 4 years to figure this out. CPAs and estate planning attorneys, God love them. I have a son who's an attorney, God love them. They don't get it. But if you go at it from the angle of, I'm going to find the best people for my clients, and that's who I'm going to take my clients to, and I'm going to run my CPAs and my estate planning attorneys through my process. They're going to see my process. I promise you they will get it, and they will start bringing you referrals. They have clearly defined strategies and ongoing planning sessions. There you go. When they meet with their clients, they take good notes and develop action steps. How many of you take notes and then send a follow-up email to your client saying, this is what we discussed? Okay, you guys get a gold star. The rest of you, you need to see me about how to do that, okay? I mean, you can ask the question after this, and I'll tell you how my clients do it. The best firms make their ideal clients feel like kings and queens. We already know that, raving fans. They contact their clients frequently. Russ Allen Prince will tell you your high net worth clients need to be contacted at least 28 times a year. They are approachable. Oh, to their clients. That's nice, clients. Sorry about that. They are approachable and accessible to their clients. Ensemble practices, what he means there is not necessarily staff, he means ensemble versus silos. And they hire professional managers, not clerical staff. Who knows the difference between a professional manager and a clerical? Tell me.
I'm a professional manager. I'm not a financial planner. I'm a PA.
Okay, excellent. You should all be making her an offer before she leaves the room. That's me. The only reason I put this up here is because send me an email if you want those templates, and I'll send them out to you. Okay? You can go to my website. I will give anybody in this room, I do this for everybody. This is not just an FPA thing. I do this for everybody. Anybody in this room can have an hour free with me. All you have to do is go to my website. There's a little link on there that says schedule a call. You can get right on my calendar from there. Just put in there, hey, we met at the FPA. I want to talk to you about getting my strategic plan going. That's it. I'm not going to pressure you to work with me. I'm very much like you. I only want to work with people who value my services, but I love to give away free advice. My husband says we'd be retired if I didn't give away all that free advice. And he, bless his heart, he's in the back of the room running the camera for me today. So seriously, call me, though. I would love to talk to you. I do this every day with advisors around the country. If I can't provide you the resources, I'll try to hook you up with somebody who can. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir. Well, that's a very good question, and let me tell you why that's a good question. It's a good question for a number of reasons, but number one of the things that you should be doing as the owner right now to get to that next step is really evaluating your staff. And I'm just going to be honest with you, it's going to be very difficult for you to get to that next level if you don't have people like this lady in the back of the room who thinks like a manager. You need employees who think like managers. And if you don't have those employees that are, and when I say that, what do I mean? I mean they have an entrepreneurial bent. They get your vision. They're vested in your vision. They want to help you grow. It's not a 9-to-5 job for them. If you have those people still in place, you may need to make some hard decisions if you really want to take your firm up to the next level. Does that answer your question? So when you have managers, you should be expected to be able to give them anything and everything. Does that answer your question? Okay. Well, I do facilitating. There's a lot of people who do, but call me. You may have an attorney or a CPA friend, or there may be somebody in your town who does it. There are a lot of people who do it, and you just don't realize that they do it. So call me, and I'll help you. Email me so I can do some homework first, and just tell me where you are. Okay? No, I recommend it be somebody who has a minimum understanding of your business. I do, because I think it's important that they understand at least a minimum of what you're talking about so that they can really be a useful facilitator. Well, you know, that's up to you. I mean, my clients typically come to me because there's some pain that they have felt, and it's generally a staffing pain. You know, I mean, staff are great, but we all know staff brings complexity, right? I mean, you can't help it. It just does. I think some people work really well with outside people and some people don't. I think it's a personality thing. I mean, my clients, they like to have, because I talk to advisors all week long, other advisors, it helps them not to feel so isolated. So I think it's really up to you, and I think if it's something you're interested in, you should start talking to some people about whether or not it was a good experience for them or not. But I would say, you know, if you really want to create that ideal quality of life and you really want to get to the things that you want to do and delegate the rest, it's a good idea to have somebody come in and look at your firm at least every couple of years. Right, so everything is up on teamwork, remember? So you've got your plan living up on teamwork. So you've got your initiatives living up there. So every 2 weeks, you're meeting with your staff to talk nothing about, to talk about nothing except what is getting, how are those initiatives going? Are they getting implemented? Why are they not getting implemented? Are there roadblocks? Are there challenges? Are they still relevant? So the plan continues to be a work in process as you're going throughout the year. Based on what you've planned in your larger session, it's where the rubber meets the road every 2 weeks. Is it getting done or is it not getting done? Well, I asked them to complete the homework that we talked about. So I want the answers to the questions that I gave them because, again, they have a very different perspective on your business than you do. And I want to know what their goals are. I want them to submit SMART goals for the next year. And if they want to submit their personal goals, that's fine. If they want, if they want to say, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds the next year, and they want that to be part of the plan, that's okay too. Because we all know that you cannot, I don't know who thinks that you can separate your personal and your business life. Who thinks that? I mean, you can't do it, right? They're just meshed together. So if they want to include their personal goals, that's fine, but if they're not comfortable doing that, that's okay too. I have some employees that just, they really want to put everything in there, and there's some that go, until they get to know me, and then they throw it all in there. Well, I work typically with RIAs. I don't have a typical. I have everything from startups up to. I have some clients in New York with about 400 million under management and 10 staff members. So I work kind of all over the board. I will be honest with you and say it's easier for me to work with the independents than it is with the broker-dealers. Now, having said that, the reason it can be difficult with the broker-dealers is because their compliance sometimes hand-bounds them a little bit, and it makes the process a little bit harder. But I do have broker-dealer clients. So, but I also, So, so that's the first part of your question. What was the second part of your question?
Do you work with other planners that are?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I do. I have clients that work with Tracy Beckus, and I have clients who currently have Jen Goldman engaged to work with their technology. So we do frequently do hand-in-hand engagement because I don't do what Tracy does. Tracy is an excellent life coach. I'm not doing life coaching. So what you can expect is for me to come in, I'm going to shine a flashlight. I'm going to shine a laser on everything in your firm. I'm going to take that thing apart piece by piece. I'm going to look under the hood. I'm going to kick the tires. And then I'm going to make some recommendations to you, almost like a gap analysis of where I think you may have gaps. We're going to address those things first. But I'm a hands-on implementer. So for my clients, when we talked about the hiring process, I'm doing that. I'm writing the ad, I'm posting it, I'm culling the resumes, I'm having the phone interviews, I'm doing the assessments, and I fly to my clients' offices a couple times a year to meet with the staff, meet with the owners. We do the strategic planning, then I usually fly back. I've got to go to New York in May. I've got 3 clients up there. I'm going back up there, and I'm having weekly calls with you and your staff. As I'm having weekly calls with you for sure. I'm having weekly calls if you have a chief admin. I'm having weekly calls with that person. And then I'm having bi-weekly calls with your staff. I'm the strategy manager that I talked about. So I am the strategy manager. I'm making sure that things are getting done. I'm providing the ideas and the resources and the accountability to get them done. I am in lovely Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But I have no clients in Baton Rouge. All my clients are scattered. We do have air service, albeit very small. You outsource a lot of it. And I'm a big believer in outsourcing. You don't have to have employees to do any of this. There are people out there now. Everybody familiar with the Virtual Solutions for Advisors website? Okay, so it's free. You need to go out there. Every possible technology and every possible outsource partner is on that site, Virtual Solutions for Advisors. It's free to you. And there is something out there for anything you want to outsource. I can guarantee you that. Now, 10 years ago when I was practicing, and I'm sure when a lot of you guys got started, that was not the case. There's something for everything now. Whatever you want to outsource, it's there. Financial plans, you want to outsource that. Anything and everything. So you as a sole practitioner, one of your goals may be, hey, I don't want to run Portfolio Center anymore. I don't want to do my quarterly reporting anymore. So your initiative is going to be to find out who's doing the back office on Portfolio Center, have calls with them to find out who you like best, get recommendations from your friends as to who they're using. What does it integrate with? Those would be your action steps. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm a big believer in outsourcing. If you want to stay solo and outsource, go for it. You're making time to be strategic. Exactly. But it's basically the same process. I mean, if you're walking the dog, I'm going to be 51 on Tuesday, so my brain cells are like deteriorating now at a exponential rate. So when I walk the dogs, I take a voice recorder with me because I have all my best ideas when I walk the dogs, right? So you need to get in those habits of thinking, how do I capture those thoughts that I'm having? Does that make sense? Oh, God, I know. It's terrible, though, you guys. My husband and I were laughing last night. I mean, I went into the kitchen 6 times last week to try to figure out why I was in there. I mean, the cats are going, what is wrong with her? Seriously. It's getting worse. Anybody else? Did I answer your, and if I didn't answer your questions, because it's such a limited amount of time, please, please, please call me. I promise you, I'm very low-key. Oh, I think they're fantastic. And I think, we had multiple advisory boards in my practice. When I was living in Chattanooga, Tennessee when we had my practice, and we had 2 big niches. One was the Tennessee Valley Authority, and the other was the Electric Power Board. And we had an advisory board for each one, and they were tremendously successful. I highly recommend you do them. You know, I just love this. I love what I do. I just wasn't enjoying the financial planning as much. And I loved I love the building part. I love to help people build their firms. It gets me, you can tell I'm very passionate about it. It's what gets me up in the morning. And I get frustrated when I see people who have all these great ideas and the things they want to do and they just don't have that extra push to get them implemented. And that's why I decided to do what I do, because I'm very good at implementation. I have a lot of other flaws. Trust me, my husband will tell you a lot of other flaws. But I'm very good at implementation and getting things done. There is a gnat, I swear. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time. You guys have safe travels.